If it's 5:03, I move we adjourn.
Absolutely.
I know.
Second that.
Let's see. All right.
Because that hour went by really quickly.
I feel like we got a lot accomplished in that 1 hour too.
All right. We are starting and I'm recording. So I have to say the announcements. I would like to inform everyone that the Steamship Authority is making an audio and video recording of today's meeting, and that Steve Beatty of MVTV is as well. Is there anyone else making an audio recording of today's meeting? If so, please identify yourself by raising your hand icon, or if you are joining in by phone, pressing *9 on your keypad. And when you're recognized, please state your name for the record. No one has, so I'll assume that no one else is recording this meeting. In response to Governor Baker's executive orders concerning the necessity to conduct public meetings in line with social distancing guidelines during the current state of emergency involving the COVID-19 pandemic, all working group members are participating remotely in today's meeting because their physical attendances today would be unreasonably difficult. All working group members are participating in the meeting by the Zoom video conferencing app, and all members hopefully will be clearly audible to each other. And again, all votes taken by the working group have to be by roll call. So the one thing that's not on the agenda, Doug Jones, I understand you are not running for re-election. I'm sorry to hear that. It's been a pleasure working with you and negotiating with you and discussing things with you over all these years. You've been a terrific advocate for the town of Falmouth, and I know that the select board will miss you. I hope you're going to be staying on as a member of this working group.
I'm just not sure if my position is a liaison or a select board representative, as whether it has to be a select board. So I'm not sure about that.
Okay, all right, well, let's hope so.
Well, thank you.
The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the working group's March 10th, 2021 meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
A motion to approve.
A second?
Second,
Any discussion? Any corrections? Okay. Roll call vote. Mr. Arujo,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jones,
Jones, aye.
Mr. Morrow,
Morrow, aye.
and Mr. Trumbull.
Nat, yes.
Okay. Oh, we got through the first item easily. The next two items are reports on the Falmouth Transportation Management Committee's April 22nd meeting, including the status of the committee's recommendation to the Falmouth Select Board on the posting and enforcement regarding no truck traffic 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's a mistake, or something similar on Crane Street and Cowdrey Road, and a report on the May 3rd, 2021 hearing on the Steamship Authority's proposed 2022 operating schedules due to a petition signed by 103 Falmouth residents objecting to the SSA's proposed freight operating schedules between Woods Hole and Martha's Vineyard. And I put these on the agenda only to let the working group members who were not at the meeting know what transpired, so we are not operating in a vacuum. Doug Jones, Nat Trumbull, and I were there of this group, and of course the rest of you were not. And essentially, the Falmouth Transportation Management Committee, at their next meeting, which I believe is on May 13th, will be voting on whether to recommend that they support, that the select board, to recommend to the Falmouth Select Board, whether to support Senator Moran's recent legislation. And I think the fair sense is that they will be recommending that. Whether to recommend that the Steamship Authority seek grant opportunities in order to improve its freight operation. And they're voting on that after they see a final version of the letter. And whether they recommend that the town of Falmouth put a no truck traffic restriction on Cowdrey Road and Crane Street from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. or something like that as well. And they still have not yet made a determination or voted on that issue. One of the things that they did ask the Steamship Authority to do in connection with this proposed 2022 operating schedules on the hearing is to consider alternative schedules that Nat has proposed, both of which would eliminate the 5:30 a.m. freight trip and substitute that 5:30 a.m. freight trip by making permanent an available trip with a sanctity later in the day in the afternoon. And another suggestion I think Doug made was to simply shift all of the trips, scheduled trips to a half hour later in the day. So everyone just gets to and from the island a half hour later than they currently would under the schedules. I stated that we will consider both of those alternatives, and we will. The hearing on Monday is about the ones that we advertised, so it's going to take a little bit longer to consider all of the schedules, but we will be doing that, and that will be going on next week and probably for the next month, because it's a complicated process and we have to look at everything in place. That was just to, I think hopefully it's a fair representative. Doug, do you want to say anything else?
The only change I would make to that is I thought the management committee was asking you to consider an immediate change, not just for next year.
As well, yes.
If I'm wrong, okay.
No, that's correct. They did do that, and they did a follow-up email to me. I don't know whether you got it, because I said that would be chaos if we were to do it this year, and also that would be very problematic. And they asked me to provide some more information. So that is what I will be working on for the next week, unfortunately, instead of the schedule stuff as well. But what I would like to do, because this working group, I think, has been somewhat successful in doing what its task has been, in discussing the issues that are the logistical issues with the Woods Hole Terminal and Woods Hole Road. And we've done, I think, a great deal of good work over the last few months. We've kept up monitoring the early arrivals, and we've gotten that to a good place. We got the postcard out telling everyone the dedicated email address we have. We've made changes to the website to make it easier to complain to us. We have started to address the traffic backups on Woods Hole Road as a result of the standby issues. And we are responding mostly to Nat's complaints because he's able to observe things on Woods Hole Road. And I think that this has been an avenue where Allison has been able to respond to many of them. And I think one of the more important things, which is what Mike Morrow suggested, is we brought in Steve Tupper from the Cape Cod Commission to advise us on how we can get MassDOT to review the traffic regulations, speed limits, and signage on Woods Hole Road. And that led to earlier this month, the Falmouth Select Board sending a letter to MassDOT and the Steamship Authority sending another letter strongly suggesting that. So I wanted to tell the working group about these events so that we are not operating in a vacuum. I would like to request that we just stay focused on what we've been trying to do for the last several months and continue to do that going forward on a cooperative basis.
Steve, my only comment would be there is some ambiguity about whether we're asked my proposal is to ban trucks between 10 p.m. and 5:30 a.m. or 6 a.m. How did you understand that? And how will you be responding? Will you be looking at both?
I don't know how we're going to be responding yet, because I've been focusing on this meeting and tomorrow's task force meeting. But I know my understanding is that your proposal, your request was from 10 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. And that's how it appeared, I think, at the initial Falmouth Traffic Advisory Committee meeting. But it's changed on the agenda for the April 22nd Falmouth Transportation Management Committee. It said, I think, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. or something similar. So I think there has been a potential expansion of that proposed truck restriction that is now under consideration. I don't know where they are, although I think the principal focus clearly was on the 5:30 freight trip.
It almost looks like the quotes, the end quote should be after or something similar, but I'll leave that to you.
Okay, all right. That was just for the agenda. I didn't focus on the agenda that was on the Transportation Management Committee. So let's go, if we can, forward to the update on the following matters. There has been progress, I think. Let me share the screen, if I can do it. We have the town of Falmouth's request to MassDOT that town manager Julian Souza wrote on April 5th. I assume this was unanimous. For enhanced roadway signage to control vehicle speed, request for signage alerting trucks that jake braking is prohibited, consideration of taking enforcement action on overweight trucks, consideration for MassDOT proceeding with an analysis to result in a lowering of posted vehicle speeds on the road, and in the interim, requesting that MassDOT consider lowering the current posted speed to 35 miles per hour as one approaches the town's existing Woods Hole Fire Station and continuing Woods Hole Village. I think that reflects the discussion we had back on March 10th, all of the ones, and that is a letter that went out. And on April 12th, the Steamship Authority's General Manager, Bob Davis, wrote a letter in which he strongly supported that request from the town. And he did not exclude, just Doug, anything about the overweight vehicles, as you may know. Okay, so I think that's progress. I think.
Wait a minute, Steve, nor did he include it.
Well, no, he said it all. I mean, he just strongly supported it, and he didn't list everything that they said. The letter was quite, Julian Sousa's letter was quite specific as to what was being requested. And
Okay.
we strongly supported it. So that
Thank you.
is clearly there.
All right, can I jump in here real quick too? So
Yep.
I see that the Public Works Director here, Pete McConerty, was CC'd on this. He's
Yep.
he's also the Falmouth representative on the Joint Transportation Committee for the Cape Cod Commission. I mean, again, they are the governing entity that has the teeth to make all these decisions and get you to where you guys want to get to. So I guess my question is, him being CC'd on this, is he broaching this with the Cape Cod Commission at the JTC, and is he bringing back any materials that come from those meetings? Because I mean, I guess this should be on their list. If we're here with this working group talking about it now, that should be also discussed at the joint JTC on a monthly basis. They meet monthly, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know, and maybe Doug can answer that, but Bob Davis and I talked about this letter back around April 12th or the 13th when it went out, and Bob sent a copy, I believe, of both letters to Stephen Tupper at the Cape Cod Commission. So I know that Steve Tupper is aware of this request, and knowing him, just based upon the 2 meetings we've had, he will be following up on it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, and I'm just saying it'll go the extra mile as well. I mean, you have your Public Works Director sits on their Joint Transportation Committee, so that that's perfect forum for him to be bringing these issues up to the Cape Cod Commission. He has a direct line to them.
And Doug, do you have any, Nat later on said, how can we learn if there's been a response from MassDOT? That would go to Falmouth. Is there a way that we will be able to keep tabs on that?
Certainly, if I hear something, I'll pass it on, but I have not heard. MassDOT is not known for quick responses to anything.
Okay, and the last meeting you said that I guess Peter McCarnerty or someone else will contact us if they want our assistance in any of this. I think you said, we asked if there was anything else we could do at the last meeting, and you said someone will contact us if they want us to do something.
Right. Yep. I think it's fine. I thought the letter was supporting everything we asked for without delineating each one, but I thought the letter was saying we agree with everything.
And that was the intent.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Anything else on this? All right. The next one is the enforcement. Don't know why that's there, but. What we did for the Falmouth Transportation Management Committee, we put together for the first 3 months. We haven't seen this because we have been breaking it down because we've been meeting more frequently than that. But I did the first 3 months of 2021 to show all the early arrivals. And thankfully, the most compliant is the first trip in the morning, where we have 97.5% compliance. That's for the 6 o'clock trip. For the 6:30 trip, it's 95.5% compliance. And for after that, it's 90.1% compliance, which is better than what we had experienced at the last meeting. Again, for the most part, these people are only early by a few minutes. The vast majority of them are within 5 minutes. And as Steve Arujah pointed out, that mainly is the difference whether they hit a red light or a green light at Quistit Harbor Road. There are a few, we have had one of them forfeit his reservation because he was not cooperative. And what's interesting in looking at the early arrivals is that there is no customer that is a huge repeat offender. It's simply, it's all over the board. It's usually people who don't travel with us very often, or it's 1 or 2 minutes early. And when we have contacted all of the customers, they have all been extremely cooperative and want to correct it. So I think I'll be self-complimentary. I think we're doing pretty well with this, and our goal is to get 100% compliance, but that's very difficult.
I think one of the problems you're having with this is they're piling up in different parts of town. The trucks are just piling up at different parts of the town because they get dispatched at a certain time. They have no place to go. It's not like you can just go to a parking lot. I don't know if you guys can open up the space in the Palmer Ave parking lot, but what they're doing is they're piling up at the gas station, the turnoffs on Woods Hole Road. They're not coming to Woods Hole, but they're in the area.
But we haven't gotten any complaints about that. I just,
Can they be dispatched a little later, Steve, or that's not the way it works?
You don't want to dispatch too late because if you have an accident or anything, you'd rather have too much time than too little time. I don't know how the dispatch on most places works. But, you know, if you're coming from, hour away, 50 minutes away, you got a lot of different things that you have to factor in. If you get all green lights, if you get good traffic, you don't have an accident, there's a lot of different scenarios that you run into during the day.
I have a question about must be the 6:30 arrivals. How can you tell if a truck, this is being recorded up in Falmouth, right? How can the person there tell which truck is supposed to have reservations on at which time?
What they do is they make a list of what time each truck arrives, and then I'm the one that goes in and will check with reservations and see when they're supposed to be there.
Oh, so they're recording what type of truck then?
If it has a company name on it, they'll put as much description as they can. If it's not one of our trucks.
Okay, that answers my question. Thanks.
Right.
Does this help the steamship at all that trucks are not piling up in the morning at the terminal, or you couldn't, or it doesn't matter?
I'll let Allison, but
I just wondered if there was any mutual benefit here. Sounds,
No,
you've got space?
Yeah, we have space for the trucks that are coming down. I mean, sometimes it is nice to have some trucks early because if others don't show up, then our boats aren't going out with empty space on it, so.
that's one of the reasons we talked about, a year ago, Nat, about putting the early arrival times. So, but by having the 6 o'clock arrival time for the 6:30 trip, although that's mostly hazardous, it wouldn't happen. It would be better for us operationally to have a 6:15 early arrival time for the 7 o'clock trip, so that if there is someone who doesn't show up on the 6:30 trip, we can put a truck that arrives on that trip and open up more space later on. I think we do that for the summer schedule because we have, I think, the 5:30, the 6:15 trip, and a 6:30. We really.
Right.
Any idea of how many trucks have missed their boat
There's usually one or two a trip.
a day? A trip?
It can be, yeah, depending on the time of year and everything like that.
Because I wouldn't mind actually seeing that data as opposed to being really, I mean, if that's really true, it'd be good to know
It's
that.
not necessarily the huge ones. A lot of times it's the smaller ones. It's the fly-by-night companies, it's not like Cape Cod Express, Gordon's Food, Cisco, all those guys are pretty good about making all the reservations because it's money. They're putting out a lot of money to make these reservations.
Right.
And they lose the money completely. Is that true?
What was that?
They don't show, if there are no shows, they lose everything.
Mhm.
So the steamship does not lose. In a
Need
sense.
to, if they don't go across, everyone loses.
Right. I mean, it's the customers and consumers are the ones that are losing out majorly on that. Their products aren't getting to where they need to be.
But I believe they have until 12 noon the day before in order to cancel their reservations.
Correct.
No, it's 24 hours.
Yeah.
24 hours?
For
Well,
trucks.
I wouldn't think there'd be that much missing going on.
Okay.
But if you have a truck coming down the road and he breaks down or he blows a tire and he misses his reservation, if you don't have a couple trucks down in Woods Hole, what happens is that truck, when he does show up, you don't have space for him. So you got more trucks just sitting in Woods Hole. So I think you're
But
in
that's
it.
not happening one or two trucks a trip. It
No,
might be one or two trucks a week. It's not one or two trucks a trip that are breaking down and not making their boat on.
No, I mean, it's a lot of them just don't show up. Not a lot of them, but they're the ones that
It
don't.
varies.
I mean, our general frequent shippers, they never miss. And if they are going to miss, they're more than willing to call ahead and forewarn us about it too. I mean, I know it's happened with Steve. He's had issues. They
But
give,
it just sounds like this, you guys have a system in place that doesn't require trucks getting there earlier.
I mean, no, I mean, there's been times where we've let the boat go without, with truck space on it.
I get it.
Time, but it does happen. And yeah,
I thought Steve was saying that that really the Steamship Authority wishes that you could have an even earlier arrival for each of these trips.
not for each,
Earlier arrival.
not for the first trip, for the
No.
subsequent trips.
Okay, and I'm just trying to understand, in your reasoning you gave is because of the number of trucks that miss their trip.
Well, I said if a truck misses a trip.
Right. It's,
Right,
if they
that's
miss
what
a
I'm trying to find
trip,
out. If no truck ever misses a trip, then we don't have a problem.
Correct.
If it's one truck a week that miss a trip, we don't have a problem. If it's
More than one
5
truck a
trucks a trip that miss it, that's a problem. And I'm just trying to figure out what is the extent of the actual problem.
And I cannot tell you that. I don't know.
But Allison's
it varies
suggesting it's
day
1
to
or 2
day.
trucks a trip.
it can be in the morning, yes. And a lot of times what happens is people get put on wait lists. They don't know they got made their wait list match, then they show up late or they show up early. I mean, there is some confusion with some of these companies that aren't our regular companies.
And
Sounds like there's a grace, some type of a grace period rule or something. Sounds like not everyone's losing their whole ticket if they're late.
No, I mean, if they show up like, if they had a 6 a.m. and they showed up at 8, they're on standby and they can use that 6 a.m. ticket for whenever it is that we have space for them to get on.
So they don't lose the money.
Not if they actually show up for it.
Okay. I guess I misunderstood. I think.
Oh, all right, yeah, no. If they, I'm talking about no call, no show, don't show up, then yeah, that's, sorry.
Right.
So the number of trucks that actually lose out on their trip, any idea what that number is?
Like, doesn't show up at all?
Right.
It's low.
Okay.
Oh, It's mostly those that either get stuck in traffic, break down, like Steve said, that miss their trips but show up later.
All right, so the idea that their customers are losing out, and it was mentioned as a real problem here, that's not really a real problem.
I don't think we said it was a real problem. I think we said we would like to have the opportunity, if there is someone who doesn't show up. Also, depending upon the pilot or the bosun of a boat, you may be able to load the boat more efficiently than others, and there may be room for another truck on the
Straight,
boat.
yeah.
There might be. And
So
the,
there is essentially a blue line or there for trucks.
No
you know,
effect on trucks. There's no blue line for trucks.
there's no blue line.
Sounds like things are working. That's not a problem with.
All right, let's keep going.
No, we are. I mean, we have done this because it works well enough for us. And it is a balancing of all the competing interests. So we aren't complaining about it. The arrival times do differ for the summer schedule. They did in the past, and we're proposing the same ones for this summer. The other thing with respect to since the last meeting, we put out a new version of the freight shippers letter, which pretty much tracked the prior version, except based upon our conversation. We also put in on the second page about overweight vehicles. We put a specific reminder. We had not put that on before, but that tracks our customer handbook provisions. So that's just so that, I think everyone got a copy of this, but that's just so you can see that we've included that now on the letter as well.
And there are always copies down at the ticket office if drivers have never seen this.
We'll check.
There should be.
There should
When I
be.
ask, it's not every driver has seen this document, has seen the letters.
Well, the problem is it goes to the company that makes
Yeah, no, I know the problem.
the person get the letter. It's Manny that gets the letter. I'm gonna throw Manny under the bus on this one. And it's just a matter of if they go and share it with their drivers or not.
It'd be nice to close that loop. I don't know how, but I think having extra copies in Woods Hole at the ticket booth there would help.
No, that's a good idea, especially if someone does arrive early, they can be given a copy of the letter right then and there.
They usually do. I just gotta make sure that they still have.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the new version,
We had a lot there at the beginning. All right.
Steve, can you explain the sentence of the third to last paragraph? That they may be accepted for travel only if the customer complies with all conditions. Isn't that already stated in the first sentence? The only way they're going to get on if they're overweight is approved by the truck coordinator. Isn't that correct?
Correct. Or the terminal agent if they don't have a reservation.
Right. And so what's that last sentence purpose for?
Because well, first of all, they have to have a permit, and the terminal agent and the reservations office has to know this information. And my personal experience is that from one time when there was an overweight vehicle, the terminal agent contacted our then facilities engineer in order to talk about, they did an analysis of the wheels, the length between the wheels, the weight of the truck, how much weight was going to be on the transfer bridge at any given time. Because the issue is with the transfer bridge being able to sustain the weight of an entire truck potentially. And that's probably going to be even more important since we are lengthening the transfer bridges from 30 feet long to 50 feet long. So at some point, the entire weight of that truck is going to be the transfer bridge, and we have to make certain that they can sustain that weight.
No, I understand all that, but wouldn't that first letter, doesn't that first sentence cover that?
It could, but I just want to make sure that they know that there will be conditions, that it's not simply a matter of going down and having the terminal agent say yes or no. I
Okay.
should rewrite that. I should rewrite that.
Do you understand? I just, okay, I get it now. I understand perfectly, but that was just my
Okay,
It almost seems, oh, but there's this other way you can also get it approved.
correct. Oh, yeah, I'll try to work that out.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep. Okay. Okay, I'll stop sharing for the moment so that we can all see each other. And the next item is the emails received by the Woods Hole Traffic at steamshipauthority.com email address since the working group's last meeting, and the planned direct mailing of another postcard to Woods Hole and Falmouth residents. We sent you the one email we have received from David Martin, and it was addressed. Thankfully, I'm gratified when the customer does respond the way this customer responded, and they were going to address it. So David's comment that it is, you know, what did he say? It's a meager step, but to address the safety problems, but at least it's a step that we're taking to try to stop these people from violating the speed limits and the other safety measures on Woods Hole Road. And hopefully the letter to MassDOT will be even more comprehensive approach.
Allison spoke with the driver, I think. Wasn't that the resolution?
Which one was this?
No, Allison, no, that was a different instance. Allison emailed the freight shipper. This was a driver with a Maine license plate. So, and the freight shipper sent that response. That he had just driven a few times in Woods Hole. The other driver Allison spoke to, she could tell, she knew from the truck that you had mentioned.
And that was the one that you thought had cement on it? Am I getting this? I'm on.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yep, no, I spoke with him personally, so he is aware of the situation, so.
But this is great because David had put in specific observations, the time, the truck, everything, and we were able to track it down and hopefully correct that situation. So I think this is where we were talking about that some of the drivers just don't know what they're doing, and it won't happen again, at least with respect to that driver.
Yeah, so David put in writing what one hears from, half dozen people a day. And so the more we can do to elicit these comments
Right.
so that you actually get them, the better. So I'm all
Exactly.
for the new mailing.
All
if you
right,
can
so let's
afford it,
go
which
to
I
the
assume it's affordable.
next screen. And that's what we had put up before. And I think there was one correction, but I haven't looked at it. That Nat had made before Sean Driscoll sent this out. And we would just send it out again. We were planning to do it, but I was going to ask whether anyone has any suggestions of any revisions.
I guess I would still love it if there were a way that they could go to the website and on the front page, click on this to get the email out. Because I just think that they may not have this card with them. Something may happen. And the only way of getting to, they won't get to this email address. There is a contact us. So they have to push the contact us and then they go to the complaints, but that won't get them to this email. And if you guys really wanted to this email address, to have a link from your homepage to this email address would work better.
Well, let me see if we can at least get this email address added to the list of contacts. So it's only a two-step process instead of having to fill out a complaint form, which we did add. We added the complaint form. And also Sean has told me that one of the issues you'd brought up before is that the contact us on the homepage was very small. They have enlarged that so people can see that more easily.
Yep.
Which took a while, but at least they did it. And we put the complaints issue at the top of the web page, the contact us, instead of way down below. So I'll make that suggestion to Sean and see what that he can do with the website. My understanding is that we are in a whole total redesign of the website. So that's something to put on the list.
Thank you.
Okay, but hearing no suggestions about wording, we'll just continue on with that. Okay. All right. Efforts to eliminate traffic backups on Woods Hole Road when the standby line in the Woods Hole terminal is closed. We've talked about that issue. And Allison is still talking with the terminal managers of Hyannis and Nantucket to see how their experiences are going. But in the interim, we decided that at the very least, we can stagger the times that people are allowed to come back when the standby line is closed. We have not had this problem yet this year, but we now have this, that if the standby line is closed at Woods Hole, that the terminal employees can simply fill in the blanks here and stagger the times that the people return when the standby line is open, so they don't all show up at 5 o'clock at the same time and have the line go all the way up to the dome again. This is an interim measure until we're able to look at the issue and possibly implement something that's more efficient and customer friendly for our customers in terms of having something on the website. But at least it's a start.
What types of delays, like, would you be doing an hour further or 3 hours, or do you have any sense? Or
It all depends on the situation.
At this time, when they close the standby line, the terminal agent makes a judgment as to when he or she believes the standby line is going to be reopened. So that is already determined. It all depends what the reservations are that day, what the conditions are, how much, if the boats are full.
Whether it's a mechanical breakdown, whether just
All that.
general busyness.
And so that the time that they put on is going to differ based upon the situation. But then for this, you can have the first one come back a little bit earlier because, and then stagger it by 10 minutes or 15 minutes for the cars as they come in.
And do they get this passed electronically? They don't get it in hand, right?
No, they get it in hand.
So how do they, where are they getting it?
Traffic booth when they check in.
So they've already, so this doesn't, it's not a car that's in the long line going onto Woods Hole Road.
This is the people that are coming down to Woods Hole that we send away because standby happens to be closed at the minute, and they all come rushing back at the same time, creating the backup. So now they'll be staggered coming back.
Okay.
Right. The backup isn't them coming down when the standby
The
line.
first time, it's the second time.
The backup is when we reopen the standby line, and they all want to get there first because they know that's going to make a difference between getting home that night or not.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
I think one of the problems with that is just human life. People are just gonna play dumb. You know, you can give them the paperwork, but there's no really way to monitor. They're gonna play dumb, say, I didn't get no paperwork, or, you know, they're just gonna lie to you. I see it all the time.
Enforcement's always a challenge, I know, and that's the thing. But it's
I mean, you can do the best you can, but if you're gonna call people out as a liar, it's tough. It's a tough situation.
we'll find out.
I wish one day there would be news before coming into Falmouth about whether the standby is open. I thought this was actually on your website. How many
It
spots
is
are
on the
left?
website, but no one reads it.
I see.
They don't read that big sign on 28 that says no parking in Palmer Ave. They're not gonna
Why
read
would
any
they
other
read something else?
special.
This, yeah, I mean, I don't need to tell you, this is probably one of your number one complaints is people, when the boats start to break down, no one knows how long they're gonna be waiting. There's not information for them. Yeah, maybe the new website design will have a nice app that alerts everyone on time.
But I think that's the same thing that happens when you fly. If your plane breaks down, you don't know when you're gonna get on the plane, you don't know when you're gonna get out of there. It's a force of nature. I think to live in reality is one thing, but you just can't monitor everything. You do the best you can and hope for the best from there.
Sometimes it's a 5-minute fix, sometimes it's a 5-hour fix, unfortunately.
Okay. While we're on the subject of standby, if I can go to the blue line. Nat has raised this, and we are pretty confident, I think I am, hopefully Allison is as well, that the blue line does not contribute to backups on Woods Hole Road.
Correct. Because the
Okay.
only time the blue line happens is on reservation only days. So they're the only ones that are going to be coming down looking to go without a reservation or a specific, whatever you want to call it.
Right. The problems that have been reported to us with the backups are on standby days,
Correct.
not reservation only days. And this has been a safety valve for a small number of island residents to get back to the island who are traveling on standby. It's 15 residents, only those I believe who are eligible for the excursion fare. Nope. Preferred space.
Yep.
Preferred space. So those are island residents. They don't have to be year-round ones, but island residents. And that can be the total amount of cars allowed in the standby in the blue line. If for some reason it's a Sunday morning and they got all the blue line cars over and there's no problem and it's an empty space, the terminal agent has the discretion to allow more cars.
Why is it a minimum? Don't you mean a maximum?
That was the result of a negotiated process. I think the island my memory, and this is, believe me, as the older I get, the more I forget and the more I remember incorrectly. But I think the island residents did not believe that they wanted at least 15 people, because they felt they needed that guarantee that there would be at least that much of an opportunity for 15 people. So it was an agreement in order to make certain that those people are taken care of that need to get across.
I guess if you're gonna say minimum, I wouldn't bother saying the number may increase. If it's a minimum, of course the number can increase.
No, I think you meant maximum.
We should simply say during these periods,
15.
15,
15, just take out the word minimum.
I agree.
but give or take due to the agent's discretion.
Okay, no, that's fair, but that's the intent. And both Allison and I are confident this does not create traffic backups. This is really
Correct.
just a safety valve and trying to ease the pain for the island residents who are unable to get reservations, because on reservation only days, reservations are still extraordinarily difficult to get.
I don't quite understand the argument that this wouldn't increase backup at all. I mean, isn't
Because we're
half
only
of your
lining up.
client base is preferred, isn't it?
No,
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
I thought a large percentage of what percentage of your client base has the right to this blue lane?
But this is only 15 vehicles. So the terminal manager,
Yeah, but anyone could come down and try it, right?
no.
well, the people who are eligible for preferred spaces could, but their chances are low of being able to travel. And I don't know, Allison, you're there on these reservation only days. Do you get a lot of people wanting to get into the blue line?
Depends on the time of the day. But we'll get 2 or 3 a trip at the
So
moment.
so this is not well known then, or it's not that widely used.
No, it is well known, but I mean, a lot of people do have reservations. They'll call on reservation only day and change their reservations. These are the people that, for lack of better terms, and I don't want to sound rude or anything, that don't plan as well, emergency situations or whatever. But they also realize, though, if they decide to go on Blue Line, they actually have to surrender any reservation they have and go on an open ticket. So that actually deters them from doing it as well. So if someone comes down early and has a later reservation, they have to give up that later reservation to go on the blue line with no guarantee of getting on an earlier boat. So that actually deters people from doing that.
Well, if you're confident this is not causing backup, I'm willing to
No.
let it go.
I mean, we haven't gotten that yet, so. And they only stage, they stage 5 at a time. So it's not an attractive option for customers, for preferred space customers on reservation only days, because they know that there are fewer spaces for standby to begin with. And it's limited to, should be, I get your point between the minimum and the maximum. When I first read that, I wondered that too, so.
Wait a minute, I thought on reservations only day, there's no standby.
It's only this blue line that's available. And it's only around 15 vehicles, maybe more, but not very many more.
And it's island residents only.
Wait, I thought, I just heard it was 2 or 3, so it is.
2 or 3 a trip,
2 or 3
15
a
a
trip.
day.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
You ask how many go on, and roughly we'll get 2 or 3 during the busy hours a trip. During the Goldilocks trips, but that's it. Late at night, you won't see any blue lines. First thing in the morning, you won't see blue lines.
And it's just 15 a day and just 5 at a time at most. And the most is up to the agent,
Well,
but
Yeah, the most is up to they stage at least 5.
I'm sorry, I thought it was not capped at 15.
It's up to
No.
the agent's discretion.
So it could be 50, but it never is. Is that
It's,
right?
no, I've
Okay.
never seen it that.
All right.
All right. Okay. All right.
Steve, it's okay. Thanks for bearing with us.
No, we have to explain it all to ourselves. Let me tell you, this is why our meetings take so long. And everyone has a point, and that's why our customer handbook is, what, 100 and something pages. So the next one is the noise of Bruno's trash trucks and septic waste trucks going up Woods Hole Road. Since our last meeting, I understand that Greg Carroll came over and may have talked with Nat. I'm not sure how that went, or if there's anything that Nat, you would like us to follow up on that.
Well, it was a bit of a non-event. That day seemed like there were no trucks that went by as we stood there. I tried to learn more about why some cabs are so noisier than others. Sounds like age is a big factor. Are they?
I mean, I hate to be, I don't think the noise.
You don't
has
think so?
anything to do with the traffic mitigation. That has to do with the DOT and the police department. Those are people you have to reach out for those complaints. The traffic mitigation has nothing to do with the noise of a truck. I don't think steamship traffic mitigation, because the steamship has no way to tell if a truck is loud or
Well,
not.
this is maybe just a learning process for me. Who would I reach out to? How did the truck owners go through emissions, or maybe they're self-inspecting? I don't know how it works.
No, you have to go to an DOT inspection place.
Yeah, it's called RMV or something. I mean,
It's just like you do for your car, but for trucks.
So the noisiest trucks are probably passing emissions where?
Wherever they get an inspection sticker. It's just like a car. You get inspection stickers all over the place. Different companies do different inspections.
So there's no one garage. May I ask how many garages there are on the vineyard?
I honestly don't know, because we have at John Keene, we have a guy come down and do all our trucks in, I think it's October. They have mobile guys that come down, but it's all on camera. It's all videoed, so that there's no getting around.
There's no discretion, yeah.
No. But like I said, I don't believe the noise is something that the steamship, they have control over. I think if you want to go to the noise, you call the Falmouth police or you call the Mass State Police. Because they're the only ones that can stop the truck and give it a ticket.
And Stephen, my understanding is that the trucks are manufactured in order to meet certain noise restrictions, noise limits.
Yes.
So if the trucks are manufactured correctly and inspected correctly,
Mhm.
they should comply with the noise limitations under federal law.
Right. Right. I'm not gonna say everybody does it. It's the same thing as motorcycles and cars. You can put aftermarket stuff on a truck. You can put aftermarket on a car. You can put aftermarket stuff on a motorcycle. But like
No
I
one
said,
does it on a motorcycle.
I'm sorry.
No one does it on a motorcycle.
Oh,
No
no.
way.
But
Ours
like I
is so
said, I
quiet.
don't think this has, the traffic mitigation has anything to do with it. I think that has to be something the town of Falmouth Police Department or the state police have to do.
I'll second that. I mean, I've been saying this kind of till I've been blue in the face over the last couple sets of meetings, but this is the town of Falmouth issue. We pointed you in the direction of who to reach out to. We've reached out to the Cape Cod Commission. You have your DPW director sits on the Joint Transportation Committee. These are the issues that should be brought to the Cape Cod Commission as a direct line of communication already open there. So I mean, again, it's not the steamship's responsibility. It's not the Martha's Vineyard, anybody on Martha's Vineyard responsibility to alleviate anything that's along Woods Hole. That's a town of Falmouth's concern.
But we do support those efforts in order to get that enforced.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't.
Let me ask you a question. The readings that you guys have taken so far, have they been overboard? Have they been right in the area? Nat, I know you've taken readings. I believe other people have taken readings. How are they coming out?
Allison, you've been there with me. How would you comment on that?
I mean, I think the cars and the trucks are basically making the same amount of noise. I've been using the phone app, which has actually been reading higher than Nat's handheld sound meter by about 10 decibels. There's about a 10 decibel discrepancy. His is actually lower than mine. Then again, my
Well-
cell phone, so it's not properly calibrated, so.
So that speaks to our not having the right equipment. Allison, I would differ that some cars are noisier than, well, maybe some cars are noisier than the trucks, but in general, the trucks are the trucks are what we hear in our homes. There's no doubt about that.
I think the problem, if you're doing it right on the road, all you're gonna get is tire noise. You're gonna have to step back from the road to get the true noise of a car or a truck. You can't do it right on the road because all you're gonna get, especially if the road's wet, all you're gonna get is just tire noise.
Well, it'd be nice to have some expertise, which I've been asking for. Short of taking a course, I don't know.
I would reach out directly to your DPW or your highway superintendent. That's who is supposed to be taking these types of requests. Or your planning department. Do you guys have a town planner? Is a town planner employed with Falmouth? I mean, these are all people who, these are the people that should be steering you in these directions, not anybody from Martha's Vineyard.
But if these trucks are noisy in Falmouth, aren't they likely to be noisy in Martha's Vineyard also?
Yeah, you have the same trucks, but
Yeah,
there's no
absolutely.
complaints coming
No,
from Martha's
I mean, I would think Martha's Vineyard would also care about it. You're saying it's not a Martha's Vineyard problem. It should be both communities' problem.
The noise, okay.
But
Maybe
if
that
you're not
particular
getting
place
complaints
on
from Martha's
Mitchell
Vineyard,
Road. That's the problem.
And the thing is, because the roads in Martha's Vineyard, they're not driving the same speed. They're not getting up to 45 miles an hour.
Actually, our infrastructure is way more antiquated than Woods Hole Road. If you look at actually the Cape Cod Commission's work that they do,
Yeah.
their pavement analysis actually shows the Woods Hole Road is actually in fair to actually more than good condition. If you look at all the ancillary roads that are locally owned, those are all the roads that are in poor and complete disrepair. So again, I mean, we're trying to put you in with the right channels to reach out to these people, but it's not, we're not being defiant. It's just we're having the same meeting over and over again. We're trying to give you the right channels to reach out to, and I find it odd that transportation planner from Martha's Vineyard has to direct you guys into who to reach out to. It's kind of strange. The
Well, we
Cape Cod
appreciate
Commission's
it.
been around for a while. I mean, Woods Hole Road is up to standard. Its functionality is, there's nothing wrong with its functionality whatsoever. You know, they're 12-foot travel lanes. So there's nothing wrong with the road at all.
So you're saying the name of this committee should never have been created the way it did?
No, that's not what I said, but I feel that the committee has kind of reached its point. There's really nothing more the committee can do as far as reaching the end game for what the Woods Hole residents are looking for, which is to relocate the steamship authority. There, you have no data to support any sort of noise or traffic mitigation. There's nobody from the Cape Cod Commission here. Your highway superintendent, nobody from the town planning department is here. There's a reason for that. So, I don't really know what more to say. I mean, speak to the Cape Cod Commission. These should be agenda items on their joint transportation committee. Steve Tupper is a great guy. I worked with him, I've been doing this for 16 years. I don't know how long he's been doing it, but I know he knows his stuff. He has a full staff that will be more than happy to support you. And you have your DPW director who has a direct line of contact with them. It should be easy. Should be an easy phone call. I
But
mean,
the Steamship Authority suggested creating a traffic mitigation working group.
correct.
That's what this group is.
Okay.
And now you're frustrated that we're talking about traffic mitigation and noise mitigation.
Because there's nothing that the group can do. We're trying to funnel you through. These are town issues.
But wait.
Town
If I
of
can say-
Falmouth issues.
if I can, we're talking about only one issue of the many issues we've talked about. This group has done a lot of work, and I listed them when we started this. We've done a
Correct.
lot of
The
things.
group cannot change the speed limit on the highway, on the roadway. The group cannot change or update the signage on the highway. Nobody from the group can make a request to shut down roads from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. There's a process, there's legality behind it. You have to have supporting data in order to do such things. So I'm frustrated because nobody on the other end seems to want to hear that. So that's why I'm frustrated.
I'm frustrated because this seems like this is absolute lip service of a committee then.
No, it's not. What we've already done, Doug, the issues that I think are at that particular place on Woods Hole Road, which it comes down from the golf course down into the village, going in both directions. You have the trucks going too fast, coming towards the village, and then shifting down and creating a lot of noise that they otherwise wouldn't, which doesn't normally take place on the vineyard. And going up Woods Hole Road at that location, you have a lot of the trucks heavily laden early in the morning, carrying the stuff that no one wants them to carry. And they're also straining to get up that hill. That's a particular situation. And I'm hoping that Peter and the Cape Cod Commission and MassDOT can figure out a way to alleviate that. And that's how it's going to be alleviated. And we think that's the reason for the increased noise at that location that people are experiencing. We don't have control over that. Mike was the one that suggested Steve Tupper be brought in to advise us, and he did, and we're working in that right direction. So unless someone can say that a truck should not have been is improperly inspected and it's making more noise than it should because it has put something on its muffler or taken off a muffler or something. We have done those. We're also continuing to check when we do have reports of fast driving, discourteous driving, all this stuff. We're contacting those, and we've reduced those incidents. But what we think Nat is talking about is just the factual situation that at that road portion, they're just noisy because of the conditions of the road, and we've done the thing in the right direction on that.
Also, I
Steve-
think what Mike is trying to say too is that there are certain people that should be brought into the loop with this, meaning the public works director or any of those other people. They should be in on this group here so they can help direct us on what to do and how to get there.
What Mike's also saying, and this is what
Ours.
Nat's been saying is, but go to them with data. And that is
People-
saying, since all this traffic, or a lot of this traffic is being created by the Steamship Authority, Nat has said, can we get some help in collecting the data?
And that's exactly the process. Yeah, I mean, I
And the
understand.
Steamship
the need-
Authority said, no.
No,
We can't afford it.
it's not data from us. it's data from the town engineers, I believe, is what's.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Cape Cod Commission would be the ones that, pull all the data. They have a historical database. They,
Not
as
the
Steve
noise.
said, well, I mean, how do you, yeah, I mean, there's no record of, they
We
don't
could
have
create-
a,
I
they
mean,
don't have a
That's what Nat's
decibel.
always been asking. Could
I
the Steamship
understand.
Authority help in collecting that?
I understand. I understand the need to have, immediate results too. And, it's just the process is going to be long. It's
Yeah,
just
I
going to be a
agree.
long process.
I
And
got you.
that's,
I think Woods Hole Road is no different from coming off the boat in Vinny Haven and taking a right up State Road. You're pulling a hill and you're coming down a hill. We're in the same boat. It's something that we're trying to work on, but there's certain avenues that you have to, take. It's not snap your fingers and it's going to be taken care of. I know a lot of the truck drivers. I talk to all the truck drivers. We're trying to be as courteous as we can. Yeah, you have a couple bad apples, but there's only so much we can do. You're coming up a hill, around a corner, and a truck's just pulling its weight.
So to speak, yes. I mean, do you want to talk about inviting Steve Tupper back and asking what we can do about this, possibly? He's been,
Without us giving him some data, there's nothing much you can do. We need to have the data.
well, he
How
would
about
tell
someone
us
from the
what data
Public
he needs.
Works?
The data may not come from private individuals. He's talked to, he's talked before about the town engineers providing the data as part of the process.
It can't hurt to have him
Get
come
someone
back.
from the Falmouth DPW here?
Why don't and Peter as well?
Sure, let's invite Peter too.
Okay. Does that make sense, Mike?
oh yeah, sorry, I was reading something that was in the chat. Sorry
Okay,
about
all right. I can't
that.
do those things, so I can.
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
multitask.
again, like I said, this group is an extension of the town of Falmouth and whatever the issues are that are going on. So, again, having a letter of support or having their JTC member, I mean, Allison is part of our JTC. So, I mean, she sees the our highway directors all the time. So they have a direct line of communication. Highway superintendents typically, in traffic and the program managers work hand in hand. So, yeah, I mean, these things would have more teeth, like I said, if they came from, people within the local officials. Again, we are just a part of that.
Okay, so let's
Yes,
for
absolutely.
for the noise issue at that particular location, because I think it is principally that, although it's all along Woods Hole Road. Let's invite Peter and Steve Tupper again. Okay. All right. F, SSA's visits to its Woods Hole's neighbors and problem noise areas. Allison, over to you.
So, unfortunately, most of our neighbors are kind of shying away from meeting up just because of COVID, which is completely understandable. But I have gone out a few times with Nat to observe. I've also responded to a few of the neighbors' emails in regards to situations as well. So, I mean, it's hopefully,
Again, we go
Where are
out
the
and
problem
we,
areas besides that corner?
oh,
Where are the problem areas besides that corner? Where are the other places that people are complaining?
We've gotten complaints along the stretch by Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. I think people coming down there. We've also had complaints coming from Woods Hole into Falmouth, close to where the Shining Sea bike path is, that people are
Okay.
going too fast there.
Okay,
And then slowing down, and also coming onto Locust Street. I think that those are the principal areas, I think. Nat, would you agree, or?
I'm unable to monitor all of Woods Hole Road,
Okay,
but you speak
but
to
we
all,
do need it to monitor. And, Alice and I go out and we watch, but to me, it's not even, calling it observing might be a lot. We have no way of measuring what we're hearing. I mean, it seems almost futile, unless we're doing it all day. I mean, we need to do some monitoring with actual equipment rather than Allison in my ears.
Now, would,
Have your monitor, so I mean, that seems to be a pretty good monitor, right?
No, I wouldn't trust. I mean, it's just
would the
inexpensive.
Cape Cod Commission or the town of Falmouth have any of this equipment?
I think that's what we have to ask Steve Tupper and Peter. I think the situation was what Steve mentioned at the last time with respect to the speed regulations and the signage, is that the town engineer was the one who has to do the analysis for Cape Cod Commission, and that may be the same case here. So I think that would be the way to start that.
And has anybody patrolled the road? Any of the Falmouth police patrolled the road for speeding or excessive noise?
Well, I think the issue is that it's a difficult road to police because there aren't very good places to pull someone off or stand by off to the side at these locations. So I do think,
I think Steve has a good point. If a car's or a truck is speeding past the golf course towards Woods Hole, what are you going to do? There's no place to pull it over safely.
Sure there is. Woods Hole. The truck's going to, if you think the truck's going to Woods Hole, follow it.
And where are you going to put that truck when you pull them over?
Down in Woods Hole, where you going, okay, if you're gonna say that, where are you gonna put the truck if you bring the DOT team down?
Well, the DOT, if the DOT is actually on the Steamship Authority property,
That's where you can, the truck's going to Woods Hole, you can pull, the cops can follow them down to the steamship property.
and pull them over on the truck property? And then the Steamship Authority property? Okay.
Yeah.
Good point.
I think that'd be the safest for everybody. If
that
there's a
happens,
problem,
I do remember one occasion when there was a car driving well over 100 miles per hour on,
Are you talking about the Prius?
and they followed him all the way down to Woods Hole and arrested him there, I think. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
I
I
mean,
was working that night.
Okay, all right.
I-
We got all
I think
kinds.
that-
Far away.
there's turnoffs and there's places to pull people over, or just putting a car there would make a difference. I think that's a step in the right direction.
I mean, I'm a habitual speeder. I'm gonna be the first to admit it. But if I see a cop car on the highway, regardless if there's someone in it, I'm slowing myself down. I mean, it is what it is. You don't want to run the risk of going, oh crap, even though it's too late at that point, but it's the whole mentality of it, so.
I think we start with the little things by just asking a Falmouth cop to sit on the road for a little while at different times during the day. You know, even if it doesn't pull anybody over, it's gonna slow them down.
Well, we can check, but I think unfortunately, I'd have to agree, the police chief will say, what I'll agree with is, it's just not high enough priority. And that's, I mean, for what he's dealing with right now, but-
With everything else. All right. On a hopeful good note from this, the transition plate on the slip 2 for the transfer bridge, the modifications were finished today, and they think we're in a good spot for that. So there should not be any banging from slip 2 transition plate when the island home is docked there at low tide. And I hope
you.
that's the case.
that's great
Yeah,
news.
They tested it when it was, I mean, completely down, so far down, it would never go down with the boat in the slip, and it made a small noise. But it will never go down that low, because if it did, the boat's probably sunk, so.
Okay. That's
It's a full moon, low tide today too, so.
Okay. All right. The truck check-in system, this is something that we said we'd look at, and we started to look at, and it's more complicated than I thought. I thought the check-in system for trucks require them to go into the terminal building was only because of the different lengths of the trucks that come down, that they have a different length from what they had a reservation for. and maybe to buy additional passenger tickets if they have a passenger with them that they didn't pay for. Alice and I have talked about this. They're complicated issues. We're going to need some more time to study this. It has to do with the different computer systems we have, that in order to pay for some of the trips, they have to use the A400 or some system that's only available in the terminal building. And because of labor contracts, it are processed by ticket sellers and not terminal employees, because it's handling cash, even though it's electronic. And truck drivers are also need to be approved. If they're charging a trip, they have to be on an approved list, which is again with the A400 system. And so they have to go in and sign there. So there are issues with authorization from freight shippers as to who can charge reservations and trips for them that have to be authenticated. And it was more complicated than I thought. So I apologize for not getting back, but we're going to continue to work on that. Okay. So on the chat, someone said, think about statistics. That's hopefully the idea of what we're going to do with Steve Tupper and Peter the next time, that we're going to talk about the noise issue and see what might be the best way systemically in order to address that. So the additional items requested by Nat, functioning of the blue line, I think we've addressed that, or at least talked about it.
Yes.
Okay. Track and check and procedure, even you gave me the out for a subsequent working group meeting, so you know it's more complicated than I had expected. But we will follow up on that and get back to people.
Yeah, well, I hope you will, and sooner
Yeah.
rather than later. It just seems almost like a systemic problem. I mean, to have drivers have to leave their cabs, I've said this before, spend time in a building within, you know, under conditions of a pandemic, it just doesn't make any sense. It'd be interesting to know if any other ferry lines operate this way with essentially paper ledgers, it sounds like.
Okay. Proposed on equipment, we're going to talk about that with Steve Tupper and Peter. Question: how trucks carried?
Steve, wait a second. So I did send you a new quote. I don't know
which
if
was
others
higher
saw
than
that.
your old quote. Yes.
It was what?
It was higher than your old quote.
Well, you weren't supposed to total. There were options. Actually, I think it was lower. You'll find.
Oh, okay. All right.
What is the steamship's position on this monitoring equipment? What would you? Is it futile to prepare quotes because it'll always be too much?
I think we should hear from Steve Tupper and the engineer about what they would require and what Cape Cod Commission would require, MassDOT would require to address this issue and how best it can be addressed. I do think for our purposes here, whether a truck is louder than another, which is the issue, I don't think you need, I've said this before, so we are talking about it. I don't think you need sophisticated equipment to make that determination. I think what we're talking.
Excuse me, I disagree. Alice and I stand there and we will disagree about which truck was louder.
But that's whether you have it with a difference of 2 decibels, 5 decibels. The idea is that we have to address the issue, and have that specific differentiation is not going to make that much of a difference in the solution that we come up with, or that the Cape Cod Commission comes up with, or MassDOT comes up with. The issue is, can we get a lower noise level generally at these locations, and how do we do that?
Now, let's just put it out there and say we do get the equipment. Who's going to be tasked with reading the information and properly going through all that?
I would think it'd be easier to contact the drivers. They'll know that there's some monitoring going on and they might slow down.
Let's say we get the sound equipment, and now we're taking the readings off of it. Who's going to be in charge with interpreting the readings off the sound machines, the equipment? if we were to do this.
Well, they sell the equipment. I assume that to citizens groups even, I assume that there's, must not be all rocket science. I would think, Allison, this is better. Isn't this better than my calling in when I happen to see something and seems like a more systematic approach than random people calling you.
I thought we discussed that we were gonna look into the Cape Cod Commission and see if they have the equipment.
Okay, let's look.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, in all honesty, it's best that it comes from a third party anyway. That way there's no.
Yes,
But it doesn't make
Working with
sense
that.
to buy equipment if the Cape Cod Commission already has the equipment that's needed.
okay. I haven't heard anyone ask the Cape Cod Commission for their equipment. I guess maybe that falls to me. I don't know.
Well, this is the first time it got brought up. That's why.
We just discussed it 5 minutes ago that we're gonna have them back because of this reason.
Good, let's try.
Okay, all right. The question of how trucks carried on SSA could be spot checked for being overweight. We continue to hear about overweight trucks. I have not heard of any issues with them, but you have? Matt?
Yes, one hears about overweight trucks.
When did you hear about this and from who?
Steamship employees.
No offense, Nat, but who's talking to you?
I have no idea who they are because I talk to different employees.
So
Do you think there are no overweight trucks?
let me ask you a question. How, without a scale there, how do we know what trucks weigh? I drive a truck every day. I can't tell you what a truck weighs sometimes. I give you a ballpark, but
That's a
I don't
great
know how a
point.
steamship employee could do it.
But we do have an interest in this, and this is one of the issues that is in the Falmouth Select Board's letter to MassDOT. And hopefully, when we hear from MassDOT, it will have a way of saying that they will increase the spot checking of trucks. Again, I'm sure Mike and others will say, I mean, this is for spot checking trucks. That is a MassDOT function.
Is
And
the
they're the
Steamship
ones-
Authority concerned about overweight trucks on their boats?
We have an interest in not having overweight trucks on our boats, absolutely.
Do you have any idea whether there are any?
I do not believe, I haven't heard of that being an issue.
No, neither have I.
But how would you know?
Does the drivers come down and tell us the weight of their trucks? They do have
Okay.
an idea. Most people know. Steve can tell you, a lot of people that come down with the stone and gravel, they get scaled out before they come down here.
Is any truck driver going to come and tell you their truck is overweight for what's allowed on the boat?
Absolutely. It's in their best interest too.
Really?
Steve
They're
just
going to come
told
and
us
say,
he-
my truck can't go on your boat. It's too heavy.
We haven't had that issue, but they will tell us. I mean, and we can tell by looking at the trucks anyway, if it's overweight, you can tell. I mean, but generally speaking, we don't have that issue. Trucks are heavy, but they're not overweight.
But they're not
I
over,
think
I mean, Steve just showed us what the limit is. And you don't think there are ever any trucks that are over the limit that you have put forward on that piece of paper? Just by
Those-
looking at, and you're saying just by looking at them, you can tell, nope, they don't make it, that they're all good.
There
They
was
don't
one instance
know us,
years
and
ago.
technically we can deny that, so.
There was one instance years ago. I mean, the pilots or the bosuns do ask the truck drivers because they have to, for the trim of the boat, they have to load them properly.
Sure.
That's the important one. And apparently, one person had not given an accurate weight of his truck, and the captain could sense it on the way over. And the captain called the state police on Martha's Vineyard and had the truck picked up there. So
My question is, I'm trying to be legitimate about it, is the overweight truck is a problem for residents, I think both of Falmouth and Martha's Vineyard, but even so is more of a problem for the Steamship Authority.
it is a problem.
You
Yes,
don't want overweight trucks on your boat,
That's correct.
and that you guys feel that you have a system that prevents that.
We, as far as we know, most truck drivers I've dealt with are honest. I mean, I don't know what the thing is, but they're honest and they tell people because it's in their interest. And they don't want to be banned from the Steamship Authority if they don't tell us the truth. But I
Steve,
think
can I
that's
ask you a
something we
question?
should have with MassDOT as to what they can do in order to,
But you would never know whether they spoke the truth or not. You have no way of confirming their weights.
correct, we have no way of doing it ourselves. So it's something that MassDOT, we should encourage in order to do that.
But I mean, it's your regulation actually that I'm asking you to enforce. And you have no way of doing it. You have a regulation that says overweight trucks are not allowed on our boat. But you don't ever enforce that regulation.
Steve Arujo, what is
Yes, ma'am.
overweight for your truck, your 44-foot dump truck? What would be considered overweight? Because I know every truck is different as well.
I'm registered for 99,000 pounds.
So anything over that. So if I asked you how much you weighed and you said you weighed 100,
Yes,
overweight.
yes.
Now, is there a grace weight within that limit? Because obviously, science,
Depending
I'm
on the,
just trying to get all the
depending on the
information.
police officer, they do give you 5% sometimes. So they will let you go up to, like my truck, 103,900 pounds. But there's a liability with any of the quarries that I come out of. If they let me out overweight and I get in an accident, they're liable also. So they don't let me out overweight.
But Steve, what was the weight limit that you listed just about a half hour ago?
Yeah,
That
who
was way
sets
under
that?
100,000.
86 without the permission of the terminal agent.
So Steve has permission for all these other ones?
I don't
When we
know.
put in our reservations, we put in that weight.
Who sets the 86,000? Where did that come from? Is that the Coast Guard or who is that?
That's Oak Bluffs.
No, I think that's the state regulation. Without a permit, that's the maximum a truck can be. without a-
80,000 pounds.
Okay,
On the boat? Is that
Where?
no, on the roads.
on the roads? So why is so the steamship's 86 is, I guess, nonsensical, or it shouldn't be over 80 to begin with.
No, I think 86,000 is on the roads.
86 is on the road.
And Steve's truck, you're saying, can sometimes be 103,000?
I'm sorry?
And you're saying your truck can be 103,000?
It depends on, like I said, it depends on the cop. It depends on a lot of circumstances, where you're loading and what you're loading. You have variances, yes. If you check with the state and got the permits, you can register your truck for that.
So I'm not trying to understand. Steve's saying there's an 86,000 limit on the roads.
No, unless you have a special permit.
Okay.
No, sorry. The
Well, how many
default-
trucks have special permits out there? Most of them are?
A lot of them.
It depends really what you're hauling.
And how much does steamship again allows? 86, but with some margin of error with
No,
the
special
terminal.
permits.
And then the ceiling is whatever the special permit is.
Yep.
As long as we can take it over on the transfer bridge, and that's why the terminal agent's involved. And it doesn't affect the trim of the boat, which is why the bosun or the pilot of the boat has to be informed of it so they can load the boat properly.
So is there a weight limit on their trucks?
Whose trucks?
Any truck?
What would be the
Yeah.
maximum weight limit? I don't
Yeah,
know.
is there actually a maximum weight limit for a boat on the Steamship Authority boat?
I don't know.
I don't believe.
There was one, when I was involved at one time, there was, I know that our facilities
There is
engineer did
a lot.
calculations.
So you're absolutely right. There's no possibility of there being an overweight truck. Because there's
Sounds
no
like
limit.
That definition doesn't even exist.
Right.
No. No, there was a maximum calculation that he did for the truck that he was involved with, given the wheels.
But there's no Steamship Authority limit on the weight of a truck.
It's
on the
whatever
boat.
legally is able to be done with the trucks. And each truck is rated differently.
So I understand why you guys can say, yeah, we have no problem with overweight trucks. Because there's no such thing.
But there's a such thing going down the highway. You guys
Right.
gotta remember that these
No, I understand.
trucks,
I get
These
it. I
trucks-
understand the issue now, Steve, is that the steamship authority doesn't have a concern about this. Because for the boat, there is no overweight truck. For the road, there is. But that's the reason why this is now, can only be the town dealing with it or the DOT, that the steamship authority is not going to care. I was
That's-
hoping that they would care because
No,
they don't
that's-
want heavy overweight boats, trucks on their boat. But they don't believe in such a thing.
That's not a fair assessment, Doug.
No,
I-
no, I know, I'm not. I didn't
not-
say
that-
correctly, but I
that's-
mean, there is no overweight truck from the boat point of view. There's only an overweight truck from the road point of view.
Sounds
Well,
like
they
there's
have
no
to take the boat
safety,
to get here, so.
there's no safety question at all then from a
There
boat's
is
perspective.
no regulatory limit for what's on the boat, correct? Those
Right.
are on the road.
Right.
But overweight trucks on the boats would be a problem for the trim of the boat. And they're also a problem for the transfer bridges being able to sustain the weight of the trucks.
So
we do
I
have
would,
an
I would think it makes
additional-
sense to have a weight limit, both for the transfer bridge and for the sake of the boat from the steamship authority. To say, actually, we do care. We do have a limit. You should not have a truck ever this heavy because our transfer bridge would break.
Well, it depends upon the transfer bridge. It depends upon the location. I know Oak Bluffs. Is there a weight limit for Oak Bluffs?
Yep, 86,000.
Okay, so Steve Arujo, is it fair to say you don't go into Oak Bluffs very often?
no, not at all.
Used from Oak Bluffs, but not Arise in Oak Bluffs.
I can leave from Oak Bluffs empty, but I can't come into Oak Bluffs, no.
Okay, so we do have some,
Great.
so that is the principal one because Oak Bluffs is a wooden pier and
Okay,
that's the one that does it.
that makes me feel better.
Okay,
So from the steamship's perspective, there's no chance of lowering monitoring the weight carefully and thereby removing heavy trucks from Woods Hole Road because they're all perfectly legal on the boat, it sounds like. So
well, if they aren't legal on the roads,
They're not legal on the boat.
that's where MassDOT, that's what, one of the things that MassDOT is being asked to look at.
okay,
And it is, and that's one of the.
that's what they do, yeah. Mhm.
My point of just being, I thought there'd be a reason the steamship authority would want to weigh a truck, and there is no real reason to.
Yeah, there's no
And I get
concept.
that, and if there is no real reason to, then it doesn't make sense to ask steamship authority to have the ability to, and I get that now.
Right.
And I was confused about that before.
And we rely on people following the law and the regulations that's required to follow on the roadway because they have their licenses. And whether that's a reasonable reliance or not, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Matt, how can observations, forwarded complaints from working group members be shared more effectively?
The issue here is I will receive emails from Woods Hole residents, forward it to you, but then it doesn't appear in any record. And is there, I know this is related to the open meeting law, but is there any other solution? Could we post them on a website so that they are public or somehow, because you report there was one complaint when in fact it feels like there were more, like a dozen complaints this month.
Well, what we can't do is give it to the working group beforehand because they usually have your opinions in them. And so that's an open meeting law requirement, but we can make them part of the record by going over them at each meeting and putting them up on a share screen and having them be documented that way. And by that time, for the most part, I think when you've sent those to us, Allison has pretty much responded to them all. So it'll be simply the same type of report that the working group members get of the emails sent into Woods Hole Traffic at steamshipauthority.com. And we haven't really done that. Some of these topics on the agenda arise from the emails you send, but we can have that more of a formalized process.
Well, let's at least keep a count, because, I
Okay,
mean, it seems to misrepresent the number of complaints coming in when I read there
Right.
was only one complaint, when in fact it feels like there were more like a dozen complaints.
no, you had the one with the granite that you thought was cement. And you had the dump truck that was actually, I think, for the Woods Hole Terminal construction project. That wasn't a customer coming down. So we've now informed our contractor to be careful coming down Woods Hole Road. So you've had a few that we haven't talked about. And you're right, we should put those on, and I can do a share screen at that point. with
Now,
you.
are these people contacting you via email, phone calls? How are they contacting you, Nat?
All different types of ways. I'll see them.
I mean, it'd be helpful if I had their names and ways to contact them too, because that way nothing is getting lost in translation between me relaying the information to you or vice versa. You know what I mean? Because
Okay,
unfortunately, it's all
I'll
coming
try to-
anonymous, and it's,
pass on
And
contact
also the
I
Woods-
think
information
the
where I
steamship
can.
should be
Woods
CC'd
Hole
on all
traffic.
those emails, no matter what.
I'm sorry?
The steamship authority should be CC'd on all of those emails regardless.
Well, not everyone knows that email address, it seems.
Well, I mean,
well, if they know yours,
they've
why
done
don't
they've done a ton of outreach, haven't they? And it's on their website. And according to you, I mean, everybody knows that this is an issue. So if they know to reach out to you, then how do they know?
Wait a minute. I don't think anyone described the outreach as being a ton of outreach.
Well,
Well,
we're putting out the postcard again.
There's a way to
with
do it
the
on the
email address.
website.
There's not.
It's
not on
very
the
hard to
website.
find.
It's not on the website.
Oh, it's even not there at all. Okay.
But I'm just saying, because when you forward me the emails, it's fine, Nat, but I would like to have the person's name and their contact information so I can follow up with them as well. Instead of you just forwarding it with no name and no information, you know what I mean? That way I can personally talk with them if I need to, if I have more questions going in.
Okay.
That's
But-
all I'm asking for.
I'll try. It requires an extra step of mine. Do you mind if I share this with the Steam, that kind of thing?
But if you don't, we can still address them here at each working group meeting. And we'll just keep better track of them that way. I'll create another file folder for yours that you, both from you and from neighbors that are forwarded you whom we don't know. And then we can discuss those and we can go over our responses at that time. It's not as if we haven't responded to the ones you've raised. It's simply that they aren't being part of this agenda. I think that's the issue.
Well, the working group, other than Allison and me and you,
Right,
know,
so
no one sees them.
no, that's a fair concern and we'll do that going forward. All right,
Trying to build a relationship with our community too. And the fact that I'm responding to emails, I have no idea who I'm responding to doesn't help.
venting sewage to neighbors at Woods Hole Terminal. I don't think that's a noise or a traffic issue. And I do think, Allison, have you talked to is that an issue of,
Maintenance, and I've been talking with the neighbor that is directly involved with this, so
Is it solved?
it should be, but is it no offense, Nat, is it affecting you?
Wait a minute. I'm representing Falmouth on this working committee.
Yeah, but this is noise and traffic mitigation. That's neither noise nor traffic. That's why I'm saying it's kind of a moot point at this point. But I have been talking to Tito and I've been talking with maintenance and we're all on the same page with this going in, so.
It's an emissions problem. How about that?
yeah, okay, all right. So you think the situation's solved and that you can just check and see if that's the case too?
Yeah, so it has been resolved and they're just waiting on another part to help further better it, so.
All right, update on electric buses purchase. When will subsequent set of electric buses be ordered? Allison?
They have been ordered. Well, we're in the process of designing. We have recently pretty much completed the SPO. And they'll be going into construction shortly and we should be receiving them by March, April next year.
And do we
Is
have
the-
any, do we
The
have
the
any?
real question was, I mean, we do find that especially the old school buses are really noisy.
Well, we don't have any bluebirds down here, and those are the school bus style ones, so those shouldn't be.
Yeah, I
worry about
have been
that.
seeing,
On the other end, so.
I know you've got 4 kind of modern ones, which are quieter. I saw a few of the older type the other day. I thought, I don't know what their
Those
vintage is.
older perimeter style seating ones, yeah. The school bus style ones, those are all down in Hyannis right now, I believe.
Well, I'll probably just keep asking if when I wouldn't, I hope we can weigh in on quieter electric buses when the time comes.
Well,
Oh, we're-
they're in the process of being designed and will be in the process of being built shortly, and we'll have those first 3 March, April of next year.
And do we have any more in the hopeful pipeline?
We have put in grant work for the NOLO or low-no grant for some more buses coming up, so it is something that we are looking at slowly transferring the fleet over to electric. These aren't going to be the only 3, basically. So
Great.
it takes a while to build and replace.
May I ask what the cost is of an electric bus to a regular hybrid bus? Or whatever you have now, the new buses?
It's about 900,000 for an electric bus, and it's about $300,000 less for a diesel.
How much, may I ask?
300,000 less for a diesel.
Okay,
And are there grant opportunities for electric buses?
Yeah, so what we do is we get the grants, and that pays for the difference between the electric and the diesel. So it'll pay the difference,
So to the steamship, they're the same cost.
pretty much, yes.
Yes.
So
Well, I think you're hoping that there will be less maintenance and,
well, we're trying to be more green and eco-friendly too, so. It's
well,
not-
one reads they're supposed to save money in the long run too, from
Yeah,
maintenance
Until
fuel
you have to-
perspective.
those are the batteries, and that's a different story, but.
There remains to be seen.
$300,000 is a lot of maintenance.
What's that?
$300,000 is a lot of
Yeah,
maintenance.
well, we're following the vineyards. We like the vineyards example. You must not approve of the VTA buses then.
I
Apparently,
have
MV
no problem with it. I'm just saying, if you're cutting down on your maintenance, $300,000 is a lot of maintenance.
but it's not coming out of the Steamship Authority's pockets. It's a federal government based upon federal priorities.
I totally understand. I'm just stating a fact.
And sometimes it's worth it to pay more money to help the environment.
I am not complaining, but when you guys bring up maintenance, lowering the cost of maintenance for extra $300,000, that's not the way to look at it.
Well,
If
no,
you
the
want to be
idea,
right
the
for
idea, the idea is that the electric buses will require less maintenance over the long term. And even then, I don't know whether that would be enough to make up for a $300,000 difference if the Steamship Authority were paying the entire cost. But still, it would be a good thing for the Steamship Authority in the long run to have electric buses at the same purchase cost as diesel.
Oh, definitely, but don't look at it from a maintenance perspective. Look at it from greening the earth and try to make a
Correct.
difference that way.
And that's what we're doing. All right, H. How to learn, I think we've covered about the mascot. We'll just keep on asking Doug Jones from time to time what the status is and,
I mean, I may be out of the loop though.
okay. Well,
Selectmen won't talk to me anymore, I'm sure.
okay,
They'll be glad to get rid of me.
hardly. All right. Well, thank you. Is there anything else?
We'll meet in a month, Steve.
We'll confirm, it's Wednesday at 4 is still good for everyone. So it's either June 2nd, I'm away the following week, or June 16th. I'll check with Steve Tupper. And Doug, do you want to check with Peter, or can I contact him directly? Do you mind?
Well, I don't mind if you contact him directly, but
Okay.
are you saying, do you mind if I contact him?
No, if you mind if I contact him.
Not at all.
Okay, then I'll contact the two of them and we'll pick whichever one of those two dates is better for them, if that's all right.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay. And there was public comment. I noticed that David Eisenberg, he said I didn't respond to something about New Bedford because we have not been talking about New Bedford. And I would just like to say that is the subject of the Long Range Vineyard Transportation Task Force that is trying to figure out ways to address freight problems for both the vineyard and Falmouth in some ways on a long-term basis. So it's not as if we are not, it's not as if we're ignoring that. It's a function of another task force because this meeting already is 1 hour and 44 minutes. So we've divided into two groups in order to look at those. And those are very difficult long-term issues. And I
If
think
it's
that,
useful, I move we adjourn.
I second it.
Second,
okay, roll call vote. Mr. Russo,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Murrow,
yes.
Mr. Trumbull.
That, yes.
Great. Thank you all. See you in about a month.
Thank you.
Everybody.
All right.